What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we're going to be talking about the pens that I used most often in the winter of 2022. Now, it is not over yet, winter, but 2022 is going to be over in, I guess, a day and a half now. So I thought I would get this out. You guys really liked my fall top 3 pen and ink combos. So I thought I would do it again since you guys very much liked it. Now I'm going to start off with one honorable mention. This is not in my top 3. The only reason why it's not is because it doesn't really give me winter vibes. This one definitely gives me fall vibes. And that is the Visconti Homo Sapiens Arizona Sunset that is inked up with Dominant Industry Ginger Chicken. Now, if these inks here look familiar to you, it is because I mentioned them in a previous video about me getting rid of all of my ink. So that is why I did not mention this, because this is just an honorable mention. It is pretty much my new obsession, but it doesn't really give me wintry vibes, you know what I'm saying? So, no surprise here, I'm sure, is my Quebeco Sport. And I actually miscalculated, so I apologize. I miscalculated because I just cleaned this one out because I thought I had already filmed all of the B-roll for this video, but it turns out I did not. So I literally just cleaned it out right now. And by right now, I mean yesterday. But I have had this inked up since the beginning of November with Diamine Polar Glow. It is one of their advent calendar inks that came out a couple years ago that they now sell the regular 50 ml bottle of in these really cool glass bottles. Very, very heavy on the sheen, as you can tell. My goodness. I really like to put it in this Quebeco Sport with a fine nib. I have altered this to be a little bit more wet, and I really like it because it does still have a ton of sheen, but because it's a finer nib, it doesn't give you as much sheen as my next showing will be. And so that way it's a little bit more versatile. If you want to flood the feed a little bit, I have the push converter. So you just kind of push down the converter a little bit and get rid of any air, and you saturate the feed. Then you'll definitely get much more of that red sheen. But you do get it in everyday writing anyways. But you all know, if you've been watching me forever, I am obsessed with this Quebeco Sport. This one in particular, this frosted coconut finish, is my favorite. I will be posting a video very, very, very soon, within the next week, of pens for sale. It will likely come out within the first week of January. And I will be letting go of most of my Quebecos. It pains me to do so, but I have far too many. But this one will not be one of them, because I just have to have it constantly inked up with Diamine Polar Glow. So that is definitely one of my top 3, and I will be inking that up very shortly. For those of you who don't know, I do typically have a rule where I don't like to have more than 3 or 4 pens inked up at a time, and I do have a couple pens inked up for review purposes, so that's why I have cleaned out this one and one other that, unfortunately, again, I forgot that I hadn't already filmed the B-roll. This is the last video, guys. Can you believe it? The last video of every video, Monday through Friday, in the month of December. I cannot believe it. And of course, I have to go out on this note. But the Con 70 is a pain to clean. So I really didn't want to have to ink it up again and break my 3 to 4 pen rule. But this is the Pilot Custom 912 with the Falcon nib and the ebonite feed. A lot of you guys ask where I get the ebonite feed from. This one I picked up specifically from Nibsmith, but it is not made by him. He sells it, and I'm forgetting actually who it is from immediately, but I will have it written here. If you check out his website, you'll see many more offerings. But I have this pen pretty much consistently inked up with Diamine Writer's Blood. this beautiful right here. This ink is quite wet, so it flows out of this pen like just lava spewing everywhere. It is bananas. Very, 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 very wet, but I love it. As you can tell, it is a very dark burgundy. It does have a tiny bit of gold sheen, but it's really difficult to get the gold sheen out. Like, you basically just have to dump the ink onto the page in order to actually see it. It's very hard to get it out, but it's very saturated. It's very wet. And believe it or not, despite the fact that it is so saturated, it's actually pretty easy to clean out of your pen, which I'm really grateful for, because sometimes red inks are just not easy to do. And I like this as a holiday / winter vibe because it is in the red family without being like obnoxiously red. And it's kind of dark. It's a bit moody. You could even use it for fall if you wanted to. You could use it for winter. I think it works both ways. And I really like it in this fountain pen because you do get a nice flex with this. And even if you don't want to flex right, which I typically don't, this does respond really, 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 really well. And this is one of my all-time favorite pens for sure. And then the third one that I've had pretty much always inked up is, of course, a TWSBI of all things. This one I've had inked up pretty much all of the winter season, and it will probably take me the rest of the winter season to go through the rest. I would say I'm a little bit away from halfway. I've already gone through one complete filling, and I'm about almost halfway through another filling of this pen with Van Diemen's Hanging Lake. This is a really neat ink. I don't actually own the bottle of this. I'm making my way through a 4 milliliter sample that I picked up from Pen Chalet. And as you can tell, I've got about half of a milliliter left, almost maybe a full one, so maybe 3/4 of a milliliter. So I've definitely gone through the fair share, and I will certainly go through the rest of it. But I really like this one. As you can tell, there is some red sheen to the ink when you have it on Tomoe River paper. It doesn't really show up on other papers, but this paper definitely does bring it out. This is what I would say is a basic ink. It's not a wet ink, it's not a dry ink, somewhere sort of in between. Like I said, it does have a cool property of that sheen, but you're not really going to see it. It's kind of like Diamine Writer's Blood, where you really got to pull it on thick and you have to have it on the right paper. That's sort of where the Diamine Polar Glow comes in handy, because the blue is much more vibrant than this, and you get that sheen. This is just a solid baseline ink to write all of my holiday letters with, get that cool kind of like icy vibe of winter. And I like the fact that it is a very, very saturated blue without being oversaturated to the point where you can't see any shading. I think it rides that balance quite nicely, which is really difficult to do, I think, to get a very saturated ink that you still get some sort of shading out of. It's really hard to do, but it is definitely paper dependent. If you have it on a more absorbent ink, then this ink, more absorbent paper, then this ink will be very flat and one note. This pen is definitely my TWSBI exception. It's very smooth, nice and wet, and doesn't feel quite like I'm writing with a nail like some TWSBIs can. So those are the 3 that I have used pretty much all winter and will continue to use. When I do wash out the other 2 pens that I have inked up for review purposes, I will put these ones back because, believe it or not, I miss them already. But I really try not to break that rule because it just gets unruly after that. So those are the 3 I have. What are you guys using right now? Do you do kind of like, season-based pens and ink, or do you just do kind of whatever the mood strikes? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you liked it a lot but haven't done so already, do hit subscribe. New videos come out every Monday and Friday and the occasional Tuesday. Guys, thank you for sticking with me all of the month of December. My goodness, it's been a wild ride, and I will continue to post come January. Check out the description for the link to my Patreon if you'd like to help support me and what I do there. You guys on Patreon seriously are the only reason why I can continue doing what I do. All right, guys. Happy New Year. Thank you, and I'll see you later. Bye. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. Just kidding, that's the beginning. It is time for our Patreon crew shout out. This was filmed as of December 1st, so if you don't see your name, don't fret. I will update it as soon as I possibly can. My two ultimate humans, Daniel Rodney and Comp Dave, and all my VIPs, Susan, McCall Bennett Lawrence, Karen Epstein, Gretchen Peters, Carol Lowry, Michael Simon, Subi1 Kenobi, Catherine Molina, Waylay Chang, Brian Law, Bill Pemberton, Lucas Bell, Robert Myers, Marissa Calvo, Eric Lineman, Stephen Baldwin, DigitalTent.tech, Bobby A. Bailey, Bass, Joan Worthman, Luna Wolf Games, Aaron C., and Glenn Kelly. You guys make it super, super, super possible for me to keep making these videos. No matter what tier you're in, I thank you for supporting me on Patreon, especially those of you who've been with me since the beginning. You mean more to me than you could possibly ever know. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.